All right, everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So, debate on whether or not to do this as bi weekly content for at least until the end of April, but I decided since I was feeling up to it, might as well get around to the Shonen Jump chapters this weekend. So, just finished recording Kaiju and Spy Family, the latter of which was a very, very, very short chapter. So, we're going to dive into Akane-Banashi in a second here. Before we do, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, please do consider commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Especially with Twitter and its death throes right now, it's making it harder to kind of promote and boost my content on there. So it's really kind of becoming more important to try and get the content boosted on YouTube instead. Liking, commenting, subscribing, pressing all those buttons not only lets YouTube know that you enjoy my content and my videos, but also lets me know as well, and so it really does mean a lot to me. So if you'd like to do that to help me out, that'd be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let us dive into Akane-Banashi, Story 58, Framework of the Art, with story by Yuki Suwanaga, art by Takamasa Moe, translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Sneer Aron, and Rakugo supervision by Keiki Hayashiya. And so we have, I cannot for the life remember his name, but Mustache Master Bro going, we have the results from the Rensaikai. The Zenza held over for the selection process are Zenmai from the second day. I think that's supposed to be the guy that's practicing under the comedy one. It's like the one with the poofy afro and the glasses. And from the first day, Akane, Kaiichi, and Hikaru Arakawa. So congratulations. It was a fierce battle, but you survived. And she's like, thank you very much. It's like, you don't seem satisfied with yourself, but my compliments are quite sincere, I assure you. The ratings in the Rensaikai are precise and severe, and on top of that, you advance without playing the ace up your sleeve. It's like, but I'm not the only one. It's like, may I ask for a lesson? He's like, how very studious of you. And she's like, she's my competition. No amount of training can be enough. And as she's heading out with Master Bro, she sees a sign for a TV ad for something called Eclair. And she's like, I wanted confidence. In the world of voice acting, even veterans with decades of experience have to audition to earn their roles. I ain't going in expecting to lose. I'm ready to fight for everything I can get in this industry. I just wanted some confidence. Confidence to bolster my determination to stick it out. I looked for praise from others so I could believe in myself. Well, I was a fool. I couldn't even see the plain truth. I didn't have faith in myself. Which is why that she thinks back to Isho saying, I'm marveling at the high level of skill you've reached as a performer. It's like I let myself get excited, when the fact was, she thinks back to him telling Akane, you know you don't belong here, right? It's like I didn't even rise to the level of being judged on my merits. And she's like, I never felt more powerless than I did that day. It's like, so much for that. I'm just a voice actor. It's like, and my misfortune was that I wasn't smart enough to cut my losses and move on. If I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and be satisfied, I've got to win no matter the cost. I've got to beat her. What the hell? Pretty boy's name. I cannot find it. It's been so long I can't remember Pretty Boy's name. Which Pretty Boy of Kane is the senpai going, congrats, I'll get into the selection round, Kaneru. So how was your first Rensaikai? And she's like, I met some people who started around the same time as me. And there were two others who were really amazing. He's like, oh yeah? What were they like? He's like, one was very considerate and had a generous and helpful spirit. On stage, it put the audience first, I would say. The other was extremely expressive, almost to the extent of Master Urara, and she had a very flashy and impressive performance. She was way better than before. So they sound tough. It's like, they are. It's like, alright, so that's your competition. Now for the opposite. She's like, opposite? It's like, what kind of Rakugo are you, Akeneru? He's like, what kind am I? He's like, yeah, you know the saying, know your enemy, know yourself, and then you're a total badass. So what's your strength? What makes you unique? Feel like this is exactly what I commented or theorized on all those chapters ago, but yeah. So what makes me unique? It's like Hikaru's a voice actor and Kaiichi was a salesman. They're using what they've gained from their other careers to further their Rakugo. But all I've ever done is Rakugo. Is there nothing unique about me? He's like, it's pretty hard to have an objective view of yourself, huh? It's like, tell me, Akaneru, are you familiar with nin? It's like, nin is a word used within the world of kabuki theater. It refers to the unique essence of a performer. Rakugo has a similar term called fura. Nin is also known as the framework of the art. It's very important for a Rakugo. I'm sorry. I just saw the diagram on the next page and I just immediately, my brain jumped to Hunter x Hunter's like little nin diagram. It's very important for a Rakugo to understand their own nin. This is because the quality of a performance is the product of two attributes: the performer's nin and the story's inherent entertainment. The compatibility between performer and story is the key. She's like, the story's attributes? It's like, look here. It's that's it. Maikuru Arakawa's original hexagonal nin chart. It indicates the attributes of a story as they relate to Rakugo. So you have Atsu, Jo, Datsu, Iro, Chi, and Haku. So Atsu is power, force, momentum, volume. Jo is drama, human stories, emotionality. Datsu is relaxation, slacker stories, chill, surreal. Iro is sexy, seduction, enticement, allure. Chi is intellect, history, knowledge, intelligence. And Haku is tempo, rhythm, speed, crispness. All stories contain at least one attribute, and the more attributes, the higher the difficulty. So you have Haku and Atsu equals long phrases. Chi and Iro and Datsu equals Akane-Banashi, and Iro and Datsu and Jo equals Kaidan-Banashi. I'm never going to remember all this. It's like, etc. It's like, of course, the attributes you're good at depends on your nin as a performance. So you have Chi and Haku is Koguma, and Kyoji's is Jo and Atsu. Yeah, all concepts invented by Maikuru and only exist only inside his head. But sometimes having the wrong nin for a story causes a chemical reaction that results in its own surprising magic. I'll add one last thing. Everyone has their own nin. It's something that every living person exudes, and there are stories in Rakugo that suit any Rakugoka, no matter what they're like. As a matter of fact, I can think of some stories that would suit you, Akaneru. It's like, awesome, will you teach me one? It's like, here's the thing. I'm not going to choose the story. That's for you to decide, Akaneru. I'm guessing that up to this point you've learned stories because someone told you to, or because necessity forced your hand, am I right? That's fine while you're still a Zenza, but if you want to be a Futatsume, you need a keen eye to choose the right stories that match your strengths and style. This will be practice to help you do that. There are 3 stories I could potentially teach you. The Abstaining Guard, a great story for winning over the crowd. If you want to win, this is the one. Toad Oil. In my opinion, this story suits your nin, Akaneru, and you have Changing Time, and this story is what Shinta Aniki performed when he earned his recommendation from the Arch 4 at the Rensaikai. It's like, incidentally, I learned that story from him, and if you choose that one, I'll teach it to you just as he taught me. But whether it's good for the selection round or not is beyond me. So what'll it be? I can only teach you one story, Akaneru. Which one will you choose? Oh, God, she's just looking so conflicted. Honestly, I can't even tell which one she's going to choose. But, yeah, again, I feel like, once Akane kind of gets into the intermission chapters, I feel like that's when it gets, really, really strong and it really gets going. I feel like the intermission chapters and, the beginning parts of arcs are where Akane-Banashi really shines, and it really only kind of loses its luster on the conclusions to it. We'll see if it kind of outdoes the curse this time, but I'm really looking forward to this. As a premise, I really, really enjoy the one presented at the end of this one. So we'll see where it goes. Again, I'm really, really hoping that this is all set up again for Akane to finally face her first real loss as a performer. We'll see what happens with that. I did like the little insights we got into Hikaru. I feel like she definitely needed her depths plumbed a little bit, so I'm glad that we got a little bit more insight into what her goals are, what her thought process and everything, stuff like that is all about. So I love that part of the beginning. Maikuru, to me, just reads like Surfer Guy, so that's the voice kind of went with in regards to him. I do appreciate that despite the fact he looks and acts like an airhead, he apparently has a keen analytical mind. Again, Like this, you cannot tell me that this is not a reference to Togashi's Nen chart and like Nen explanations. You cannot convince me that's not what this is. Like, especially with the whole like the Nin and the Hatsu stuff, you're not gonna tell me that's not where like the inspiration for this came from. But I do love the little author note of like, oh, this is all completely this I just completely made up. Because I would have totally bought that this was an actual like Rakugo thing, like Rakugo framework the professionals use. We love the little notes like, oh no, this is something he made up in his mind. I think that lends like a little bit of legitimacy with the thing. So really appreciated that. But yeah, like I mentioned, I think I pretty much theorized or talked about exactly this being the point of his training for Akane to kind of find her special, like way back, right before the Rinsekai stuff even began. So I'll have to go double check if that's true, but I'm glad that that is the direction it kind of went with. And I do love that he kind of gives her like the Russian roulette's choice of like, you're going to have to pick 3 stories and you have 2 of them where it's just like, all right, like 2 of them are kind of pointing you towards, and the one just seems like the generic one, which is like the abstaining guard. Especially because most of our training up to this point has kind of been like learning how to like read the crowd and like how to win them over. So I feel like that one's kind of just like put out there as almost a red herring to be like, this is the one you want, this is the one you want to have. But I don't know. Because I feel like if I had to guess, I feel like changing time would be the best one to go for. Because I feel like learning what her because Akane at the very beginning, ever since then, was like, her entire goal has been like, I want to show that my father's Rakugo, wasn't worth demeaning in that way. Like, I want to show that my father's Rakugo has worth, and that's been her entire goal up to this point, is to have her father's Rakugo recognized. So the fact that Mikaru is like, oh, here's a story that got your father a commendation from the Rinsekai when he performed there from all of the Arch 4. And, this is the one he taught me, and it's going to be the one I'm going to teach you exactly how he taught me. I feel like that would be the greatest challenge for Akane to be like, how do I gain my own specialty in Rakugo while also kind of paying respects to, my father's style, because she did imitate him, she did look up to him. So I feel like that would present the greatest challenge to her as someone who kind of started, I don't want to say like really did her tutelage under her father, but who kind of aspired to be looked up to her father. I feel like the greatest challenge for her to be like, all right, how do I take the essence of what his Rakugo is and make it my own? So I feel like that would be the best choice to go for. But honestly, like any 3, like I feel like you could go for any 3 of them and write a compelling narrative out of it. So I'm really curious to see where this goes. Especially because I think, again, I feel like the total one especially feels like a setup with him being like, oh, this story suits your Nin Akira. I feel like that's a little piece of bait where he's putting out there to be like, oh, yeah, I feel like this is this one that suits you best. Because I feel like he's trying to push her to realize that the only one who knows what your Nin is or what's best for you is you. So I feel like that's also kind of a little bit of a bait he's tossing out there, but we'll see. But yeah, like I said, really, out of all the like cliffhangers or like narratives you can set up, I'm really curious which direction this one's going to go to. I'm really looking forward to it. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But again, I really do hope that is being set up to have Akane fail. Because I feel like even if she does, I feel like she will have gained a lot from this. And it'll make for a more compelling narrative, but we'll see what happens. Well, like I said, with that said, all the videos would hopefully be uploaded by now. Like I mentioned, read-throughs will be back sometime at the end of this month. There's a lot of good stuff coming with regards to that, so look forward to it. Like I mentioned at the beginning as well, please, if you like my content, please do consider commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. Till next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.